Bitcoin was in a bear market from 2014 to 2015. Then in 2016 and 2017, it went on a monstrous bull run, taking it all the way to $20,000. Once again, in 2018 and 2019, we got to experience a bear market all over again. But now, as we head into the new year, I think it is time for my Bitcoin price prediction for 2020. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is the Blockchain Backer bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. And today we are going to do Bitcoin's price prediction for 2020. Now, I know there's a lot of different price predictions out there for Bitcoin, and it ranges from $1 million to $2 million to $1,000 or $100,000. All of these different predictions have been based off of many different things, whether that's technical analysis, speculation, adoption, utility, hey, all different kinds of things, right? But in this video, I am going to be doing technical analysis only. So this will not be based off of utility, speculation, or any of that stuff. Adoption, it is fully 100% based off of the actual Bitcoin price chart. So before we dive in, I want to make sure you guys know that. Also, I do want to make sure that you know that I am not a financial advisor and this is not investment advice. So please make your own decisions. Do know that you can lose your money in investing, and I am not responsible for the decisions that you make when you hit that buy or that sell button. That is your decision and your responsibility. Okay, now that I've gotten that out of the way, let's dive into the Bitcoin price chart. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom out on Bitcoin here. I am using Bitcoin over the US dollar, and this particular chart goes back to 2013. I am going to switch to another chart that gives us even further back data, but I just want this one for right now so we can show the last bull run. I want to ask you something, and I want to know if you had any idea on how to actually pinpoint the very top of Bitcoin when it happened. Could we have used technical analysis to find that top? Now, if you've watched any of my past videos, then you've seen me do this several times, but I do know that a lot of people who've never seen me before will watch this video and see me for the very first time. So while doing this Bitcoin price prediction, I think it's really important that I show it. And I'm going to try to do it in under a minute. The way we could have pinpointed the very top of the Bitcoin bull market was by using Fibonacci retracement analysis. And we could have picked that top. The first thing you would do is you say, well, let's measure the peak of the previous bull market to the bottom of the trough of the last bear market. Well, hey, that doesn't get us there. What happens if we shift it up here and we line up the 0.236 with the top of the last bull market, 0 at the bottom of the bear market, and hey, what do you know? That gets us right to where the top ended up being, right here at 4.236. Have we ever seen this before in any other charts? Yes, we have. Here's Amazon's price chart, and this is the 1999 dot-com bubble that topped right here, and then it had a 95% crash, and then Amazon went on to make another very large bubble. Let's put it back into log scale. And if we do the exact same type of Fibonacci retracement analysis on Amazon, we get the exact same thing. We line the 0.236 up with the peak of the last bull market, 0 down at the trough of the bear market, and what do you know? We reach all the way out to the 4.236 as the peak of the bubble. When we look at the XRP US dollar price chart, we see the exact same thing again. We line up the bottom with the trough of the bear market and the peak at 0.236. So 0.236 at the peak, 0 at the trough. And what do you know? It perfectly reaches out to hit 4.236 on the Fibonacci retracement scale. So back on over to Bitcoin. Now that you've seen a couple of different charts and how this does occur, and it's not an unusual phenomenon to line a Fibonacci retracement up like this, can this give us any additional information moving forward? I do believe it will, but we're going to have to come back to that in just a second so I can build my case a little bit more and we can look at further back information. This is the Bitstamp US dollar price chart, and this one takes us all the way back to November of 2011. However, we still need to go back further than that, and I don't know of any other exchange pairings that have this, except if we type in up here Brave New Coin, and we click on the Brave New Coin Liquid Index for Bitcoin, and the abbreviation for that is BLX. Hey, what do you know? We get to go all the way back to 2010, and I think that's a great starting point for us. That's when Bitcoin was at about 4 to 5 cents. This is the chart we were going to use from here on out on analyzing Bitcoin's potential for 2020. This chart does provide us a lot of information. To a lot of people, hey, all it really looks like to them is something like this. But boy, there's a lot of hidden information that we can see in here when we go back and look at these fractals and we look at how far these extensions went out. For example, if we just take this one right here, if we copy that fractal right there, come up here and paste it right there and we start a new bull market with the same exact thing. Whoa, look where it came to. The next bull cycle reached out exactly as far as this one did, right here. Okay, that's a little ironic, don't you think? Well, let's take a look at this one right here. How about we copy this one? We paste it right here. Well, we haven't actually reached out that far, but what is interesting is that we did get rejected right here, which is the same thing as here. We got rejected at the same spot, and look how far we came down here. Came all the way down to this level, came down to this level, and then consolidation and go all the way up right here. So if Bitcoin followed it here to here to here, well, doesn't that still mean Bitcoin's got to at least get up to here in order to mimic the past? So that's a starting point. We take a look at that. Also, we've done this analysis right here where we check out the 0.236 on the top of the last bull market to the bottom of the bear market, and it reaches out and hits right here. So now we've got these two different things to look at and two different things to consider when looking for new bull markets is how high we can go. You know, whether or not we can use this exact same Fibonacci analysis that we used in the previous bear market to forecast the bull market, you know, will that work here? Or do we need to really kind of pay attention to this fractal that we have mimicked in the past and we've mimicked closely still? And are we just going to reach out to the end of this fractal? Then the next big question comes, will this actually happen in 2020? Or will this happen in 2021, 2022, 2023? So we've got to see, is it realistic to think that anything can happen at all in 2020? Or will Bitcoin just consolidate for the whole year? Let's get started on that and start breaking it down and see if we can find out when Bitcoin's going to go up and if that will actually happen in 2020. Let's clear all this mess off of this chart. I know it's confusing. It's a lot going on. Let's say goodbye to it. The only thing I'm going to add back is I'm going to add back this fractal right here. From a time perspective, we can see, let me zoom in on this just a little bit more. So from a time perspective, you can see that Bitcoin actually was sort of keeping up with this right here, and the time of these moves was all occurring in unison. And then it started slowing down here. If you notice, it went all the way up to this target very quickly here. But for Bitcoin in 2017, it took much longer to get there. We're looking at about a year and a half longer to get to this target than it did the first time. So suddenly Bitcoin slowed down in its growth compared to the percentage gains that it had in the past. Now, if we look at where it got knocked down here in this actual fractal, we can see it got knocked down right here. It found its bottom down here, and then it bounced once right there, and then it came back down to about right here. So we can see very similarities to that, right? We bounce off almost right there, about right there, about right there. And now we're kind of floating around in here. And with Bitcoin in the past, it bounced off this area and then it went. Now, can we say that we're going to grow at this exact same rate right here? When we saw that, we grew much slower. Now, in real life, you know, when it was happening live, this started feeling really fast, especially here near the end. This was just dramatic and fast. But, you know, when you look at it compared to the past, it was much slower than it has actually been previously. Will this growth go at this speed, or will it go back at this speed? We're going to have to kind of figure that out. Even if we are going to go with this theory, right, that we're just following this fractal and we are going to reach out up here to around $90,000. Well, can we make any type of Fibonacci retracement that would match up to that? Let's put this right here. That gets us pretty close. It doesn't quite get us all the way there, but it does get us pretty close. So that would be around $74,000. It's not quite 90. It's pretty close. I would say that it is very, very plausible this could be a top. It's also not a crazy unrealistic target, right? When you say $1 million, I don't know. I unfortunately I was not in Bitcoin when it was 5 cents. I didn't ride it up to $1,000. I'm sure people who were buying Bitcoin at 5 cents had no idea it would go to $1,000, and the idea of this magic internet money would turn into something huge. It just didn't even cross their mind that it could get that big, let alone get to $20,000. So maybe our mindsets are in that same way right now, that $1 million just isn't possible because it sounds so unrealistic. But people who were buying at 5 cents never thought it would go to $20,000. That's ludicrous, right? But it did. So we can't say it's impossible that it would go to $1 million. It's totally possible. It's just hard for me to wrap my mind around it. So I've got to really kind of pay attention to these targets that I can measure out. And, for me, it would be for me to exit at some of these positions and hey, leave a little bit in to ride for the crazy numbers. But hey, this 83,000, this 74 to $90,000 range looks like it's plausible and we can measure that out and it looks good to me. So I would say that's a target that probably should be of interest and we're going to find out if that's possible in 2020. One other target that I want to look at and measure it out and show that one to you too, because that's a target that I think is of high interest as well. So once again, we're going to take everything off of this chart, but we're going to remember this, right? This 74,000 to this 90,000 range. So let's take that off. And then let's go ahead and leave kind of a triangle there at 74 to 90,000. That's a zone that we've measured out to be a plausible top. But what if we do this same thing again, right? What if we measure it out like this and we're going to do one of these again? What is that target going to be? Let's take this one off and let's add a new one. So we put the $20,000 top up here at 0.236, the bottom down at 3150, and that reaches us all the way out to $300,000. Okay, so let's put another triangle, another rectangle right there. I hope I didn't call that a triangle a minute ago, because boy, am I going to take it on the chin for that. That is a rectangle. Let's get this Fibonacci off the screen. We'll get this out of here. And there you have it. Those are my two price targets in the $75,000 to $90,000 range and right around $300,000. So the big question is, how are we going to get there and in what time frame are we going to do it in? So let's copy this fractal right here. Let's see, hey, if we're still within this fractal right here and we're only reaching out to here, then what rate are we doing it at? And can we find anything that'll show us that? So if we put it right there, like this, to where it reaches out to here, at this speed that we were going in here to finish it off, it would get us there in June of 2020. Now you may say, June, that's the summer, that's when times are slow, it's when, everybody's kind of stepped away for summer vacation. Well, that would be where the top would be, right? And then everybody would sell off and get out. Look right here at this past one. Let me zoom in. You can see right here, we bottomed here in December, grinded our way up, and where did we find our top? June 26th of 2019. So hey, we have seen that we can go parabolic and top in June. I think it's plausible that we get up to around $80,000 by June. Then you have to say, hey, is there a catalyst that could cause that? And yes, there absolutely is. In May is the Bitcoin block halving. So that's when it will become more difficult to mine Bitcoins. And if it's more difficult, then that means it costs more money to mine each Bitcoin. And hey, we need a more expensive Bitcoin for the miners to be profitable. So doing this in June, running up in May, look at this, run up in May and June and block halving, and then the excitement of the block halving is over and it would sell off. That makes perfect sense to me. So that will be my first Bitcoin price prediction for 2020. $80,000 by June. Once again, that is not financial advice. That is not investment advice. And that is not any kind of advice. That is just a prediction. Now, let's zoom out and take a look at that higher price target up there. Is it possible for us to get up here in 2020? Now, one of the things that's always perplexed me is that I do respect John McAfee. I think he's a smart guy. I don't really understand him a lot. I know that, he's got a lot of wild theories out there and he's his own thing and I respect him for that. And whether or not his predictions are accurate or not is up to anybody. But he's always sitting there saying that, hey, we will get to $1 million by the end of 2020. So if we're going to get to 1 million by the end of 2020, at what rate are we going to do that at? We would have to essentially do that at a straight vertical line up. So is it possible to get to this $300,000 target in 2020? We always talk about that Bitcoin runs in 4-year cycles because of the fact that there's a 4-year cycle for block halvings. That would make it that we're only doing it within a 3-year cycle to reach up this high. So let's see if we can make some type of fractal that would get us up into this target. So the first thing is let's mark where the end of 2020 is. So we'll get a vertical line going on here and we'll line it up right here on December 31st. We need to get up to here before the end of December 31st in 2020. Will this fractal in any way take us there? So that's where we've got to get. And does that make any sense? It doesn't look unreasonable to me, right? It sure looks like we're not on track right now, but can we get on track? If you look at this right here, look at this peak that happened right here. Why is this peak important? Okay, so in the fractal, that's right here, right? So why is that peak important and that it occurred right there and that we can get up to here before the end of 2020? And that's going to mean we have to go back and analyze what this spot was. So if we just do a normal Fibonacci retrace on this, we are looking at this point right here. This is where we did a 0.618 Fibonacci retrace right there. And that's this mark right here on the fractal. So we put it right there. Now, what was this retrace right here? So Bitcoin topped at 20,000, hit 3150, and then it retraced right here. How high did Bitcoin retrace? Right here, 0.618. So ironically, where this point here is at 0.618 is also where Bitcoin hit at 0.618. So we put the fractal right there at the exact same spot. It does actually get us up into this region before December 31st of 2020. So that's pretty crazy too, right? So there's your second Bitcoin price prediction for 2020 is that we get up to $300,000 in December. At the end of the year, at the end of 2020, Bitcoin gets to $300,000. So that's going to wrap it up on the price prediction there. We've got two of them, $80,000 by the summertime, $300,000 by December. Now, as time plays out and we get more information on the chart, I will start to update what I think about all of this. But for right now, this is the best that I can do for you. And I hope you enjoyed this. Please subscribe to my channel and catch the updates when I do them. So thank you so much for watching. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel. As always, this is not investment advice and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.